Boris Johnson, William, what do you reckon to him, his legacy?
Well, I think it's worth taking us back to when we had voted for Brexit as a country, and we were stuck in a colossal attempt by the institution to frustrate the will of the people. If you go back to that time, remembering those failed attempts to get legislation through Parliament, remembering the score upon score of institutional newspapers, TV appearances of pundits saying how it should never happen and people basically trying to stop that vote from having an effect. Boris Johnson delivered Brexit. That is his absolute core fundamental legacy.
But hang on, anyone that's in Northern Ireland or anyone that's involved in fishing and things like that, they'll be yelling at the screen saying, no, he didn't.
I think it's going to take 10, 20 years to actually get the regulation post-Brexit in place. It's an incredibly complicated system. But the fundamental piece of work that was basically impossible to do, to most people's view, for a couple of years because of the fact the civil service wouldn't let it happen, actually getting Brexit effected, getting the people's vote to have an impact, that was something that Boris did that no one else could have done. Getting that majority in the 2019 election, I don't think any other Prime Minister could have done that. To my mind, Boris Johnson was an outstanding election winner, an astounding deliverer of the democratic mandate that was achieved in that referendum, and I think he will go down as a really effective Prime Minister in that respect. Personally, I regret that he's gone so soon. I suspect he will still have an involvement in politics, but I suspect that he will be a much greater team player than people are trying to make out he's going to be, because at the end of the day, there's an election around the corner. The Conservatives are looking at a historic fifth term. It'll be the first time it's ever been done by any political party. You know, the Conservative Party knows how to win elections. Everyone's going to be focusing on that.
I like your optimism there, Toby. Your face says that you're not washing in that some of it. Go on, tell me.
Well, I agree with William that he managed to unravel the Gordian knot that we got ourselves into over Brexit, and I was a Brexiteer, so I was pleased to see him largely get Brexit done, even though I don't think the job's finished yet. But having won that 80-seat majority, I think he could have done so much more. And he largely squandered the political capital he'd earned. Admittedly, that was partly because his term was interrupted by the global pandemic. And I thought he initially got that wrong. I was a lockdown sceptic. Thought that was completely the wrong decision. And that's one of the reasons we're in such a pickle economically now, because of all the money we spent then to furlough people and the rest of it. And it's leaving a terrible legacy in our schools, mental health, the health service, the rest of it. So I think that was a terrible mistake. But he did, in the end, self-correct and lifted all restrictions on July 19th last year and didn't reimpose them at Christmas, although that may not have been entirely his decision. So I was disappointed that he didn't do more with the mandate that he won. He created this incredible coalition. He won one of the largest majorities we've seen in my lifetime. He set out a very plausible and I thought very attractive Conservative agenda. And then we didn't really see him see any of that through. And he went all in on net zero. COP26, somehow that was going to be part of his legacy, not Brexit. It was as though he wanted to kind of the metropolitan elite to fall in love with him again, and they were never going to do that. So that was really disappointing. I detest net zero. I hope that Liz Truss kicks it into the long grass. So for me, he was a disappointment, but I'm glad he got Brexit done.